What's up, everyone? This is the MMA Pocket on behalf of Guts and Glory MMA. I've got another cracking guest this week. I'm delighted to be joined by UFC welterweight Alex, the Great White Morono. Alex, thanks for coming on and doing this. How's things?
Yeah, good, man. Business is booming at the gym. Haven't really had a day off since the fight. It's been nice. I have a lot of my guys fighting soon too, so it's been a fun couple months.
So I'm always interested how fighters get their nicknames, so I've got to ask about that one. Where did the Great White come from?
Yeah, so every Saturday at my gym, there's like a really hard grappling session, then a pretty hard sparring session. And man, I forget how many years ago it was. I think, a pro already, but only had a couple fights. And one of my good friends, guy who went by the name of Peanut, like classic tough Mexican boxer, was in. We had like a boxing session, and it was like my third fight camp in a row. And all of my like fresh training partners were starting to gas, and I was just in good shape, and I was just putting a pace on them. Pop my shirt off, and it was in the summer, so I was like pasty white with the farmer's tan, but I was just like going after all these guys and just beating them up. It was a lot of fun. So he called me the Great White, and the nickname I had prior to that was Baby Fedor, which I didn't like at all. I just didn't like having baby in a name, so I was like happy to accept a new fight moniker. And there's like an unwritten rule to fight nicknames. You can't pick your own. It's kind of douchey if you just choose your own. So I was happy to be given kind of a cool name, and it just kind of stuck, and I've kept it ever since.
Good stuff. I think Baby Fedor's awesome, man. Maybe
yeah.
Baby a bit negative, but Fedor, you can't knock that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I was never too bad.
So what you been up to then since we last saw you in the octagon? Just coaching and.
Yeah, so one of my guys, he was on the Ultimate Fighter show named Ricky Tercios. The show airs tomorrow. We're so excited to watch. It was actually cool. I got to run into him when I was in Vegas, which I did not think would happen. I got a bunch of guys who are always fighting on the Fury Fighting Championship promotion. They're on Fight Pass now. I got one of my amateurs fighting on the 26th up in Oklahoma for a kickboxing championship belt, and then on the same day in Houston, one of my guys making his debut. So we just been busy, man. We got a lot of guys always competing. The gym's always pumping. So just been busy. It's been nice.
So you mentioned like how busy you are, man. So you've kind of found that balance between like coaching and then training for your own fights and that.
Yeah, I have such a tremendously like reliable coaching staff at my gym. So like when I do need to make the trips down to Fortis, I know everything's covered. It's pretty easy to do. Plus, I enjoy it so much. So it's never really stressful. So, man, I can't complain. I'm very, very happy with what I get to do on a daily basis.
So it doesn't really feel like work. It's just like.
No, never. It's fun, just hanging out with friends and going over some cool techniques.
Good stuff, man. So, right, let's get back to your last fight then, where you made the most of a great opportunity and stepping in on short notice against the perennial Donald Cerrone and finishing him in the first round. How did it feel to like fight and then obviously beat a legend like Cerrone?
It was crazy. I was talking to my wife. It's almost like it all didn't happen because the week, like getting the fight, flying out to Vegas, fighting him, winning, and then coming home, it all happened in like a blink of an eye. It's still kind of surreal. It's like our schedule really never had to change. And I like fully commit to fight camps in every like facet of life. And I love my wife dearly. She understands that and helps me. So there was never that like, 6 or 8 week kind of hump. It was just cool. There was, very low risk and extraordinarily high reward. And fighting Cowboy was cool. One of the most prolific fighters in the world. I can't, be grateful enough and thankful enough that I was able to capitalize on such a big opportunity. And like, even on that specific fight card, the fights were pretty like grappling heavy. It was nice to get a finish, especially like a kickboxing style fight. I mean, it was cool. I really don't think anything could have gone better. Really don't.
Definitely, yeah. It was great to watch, man. It was great to see you do your work. So obviously that fight came about after like a strange circumstance, really, and obviously rather sad as well. With obviously Diego Sanchez pulling out the fight and then subsequently being released. And then that's when you stepped in. When did you like first hear that it was going to be you that stepped in? How did that come about?
I got like a maybe on Sunday, and then I got a yes on Monday of fight week. So like we fought on Saturday, so it was that Monday is when I got the official word. Sanchez, they announced he was pulling out the Wednesday prior, so that's when I was like, oh, let me see what I can do. And I didn't really hear anything back. I mean, after the fact, I wish I would have asked, if not Cowboy, like the UFC, how that process happened. Like, did they have multiple names to choose from? How was I chosen? Why was I chosen? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's cool. I'm still pretty curious. It's nothing I can't ask down the road, but
Because that's what I was going to ask. Like, how does that work? Is it like through a manager or whatever, or do you just like phone someone up at UFC and say I'm down, I'm ready to take that spot? I'll fight.
I could have hit up McMahon or Sean Shubb, and my coach, Coach Saif Saud out of Florida, he handles all of the communication work. So I called him like immediately as soon as I saw Sanchez was out. I called him. I was like, "Hey, coach, I can do it. Take this information and do with it what you think is best."
Yeah.
Thankfully, my coach trusted me and let him know, and it all ended up working out. It was cool. So I've had fights before where my opponents pulled out, and Sean Shelby's always the man. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry this happened. Give me a day or two. Let me see what opponents I can get." And like I'll never forget one time, the first time I had a fighter pulled out, I was supposed to fight Sheldon Westcott in February of 2017, I think, and he pulled out. And Sean was like, "Hey, I know the fight's in 2 weeks. Let me see what I can do for you." And he was like, "Hey, I got Bilal Muhammad or Nico Price." And I was like, "Oh God, those are not easy, fun fights to take on short notice." But then it turns out Bilal couldn't have made weight, so Nico Price was the one they had chosen. So in that scenario, it was really only one out of one person. I know like they gave me two names, but one of them logistically didn't work out. And then I had another fight pull off in pretty similar fashion, and they had just given me one name in Chaos Williams. So I mean, in my experience, there was a very limited selection. But I know Cowboy and myself are very different fighters with very different resumes. So if I'm not mistaken, from what I kind of heard, there were a few names, but I know making weight on 6 days' notice is difficult for welterweights. So I was just happy that I had the ability to do that, and I'm glad I was chosen.
Sure. I mean, that's half the battle, making the weight. I mean, so do you think like a convincing win like that over Cerrone cements your status as a real problem in the division, and like opens the door to more big fights, or do you think some people will just say it was just a win over a guy that's on like a downward slope? What is it, 5 or 6 fight losing streak? What do you say to them?
I mean, no, if you look at the guys who beat him, Gaethje, Tieford, all those dudes, they were, that's all cream of the crop. So now I there's a lot of stock in that victory. And more than anything, like more than I think actually beating Cowboy, is the amount of people that watched me fight who had never seen me fight before got to see. So I think I opened up a lot of fans' eyes. And I know my fighting style is fun for the fans. Like the reason I fight like I fight is because I am a fan and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. So people want to see a good old fashioned slugfest and make sure to tune in. And like I'm at the point now where I've had so many fights, like I don't want to fight a guy with no name value, so I'm looking to fight somebody with a bit of a reputation. So I'm very curious what they're going to offer. I know Sean Chubby, the matchmaker, was really happy with my performance, and if I'm not mistaken, I was under the impression I'd be given a big opportunity, whatever that means. So I'm thinking that'll be another pretty big fight. I'm just very, very excited to see what they offer and who it is. And again, I'm pretty sure it'll happen within the next few weeks too. Like I'm hoping to fight in August or September, and that's not too far off.
Definitely, man. That's interesting, man. I mentioned Fabia back there, and in your post-fight interview after the Cerrone fight on the media day, you were one of like a few fighters that expressed their concern over the way Diego was being guided, shall we say, by Fabia. What's your take? Obviously, he's recently fired him, got rid of him, and where do you think he goes from here, Diego?
Man, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't think he should fight anymore. But
yeah, it's a tough one,
crazy.
isn't it?
And if you look at the Fabia thing, like I know Sanchez was going through like team change and divorce, and what it sounds like is he needed a friend, and Fabia I think was that friend, but just like way overstepped his credentials and started coaching him, and it got the eyes of the world on him, and like you're gonna get criticized if the whole world's watching you. You're gonna get super criticized if every MMA fan in the world is watching you, and I think that's what happened. And there had to have been a breaking point, and I don't know. I hope it's all done with. It was a very weird story. Like interesting is not the right word. And like what's most bizarre, because my coach and I talk about it all the time. I was a part of that story now too, which is even more strange in terms of being the guy who took Diego's parts. I mean, I don't know. I hope Fabia's out of the MMA world for good, and I hope Diego can have a good rest of his life. I mean, I have no clue what he'd do beyond this. I don't think any other promotion would sign him. It's crazy. It's weird.
I mean, I'd like to agree, and I do agree that he should definitely retire. But I've just got a feeling he might pop up in like bare knuckle or something like that. You know, I just
Yeah, I know Bellator won't sign him. They already talked about it. BKFC. That's That's crazy. I don't know why some people do that. I mean, for some fighters it makes sense. Like Mike Perry is a good example. I think he is bred and styled for bare knuckle fighting success. But just like I would never do it. My hands aren't big enough for that. I would break my hands. And it's just watching those fights, like on paper it sounds like it'd be fun, but watching it I always feel kind of bad. It's just so
it's,
brutal.
it
Like
is
watching
so.
did you watch Johnny Hendricks's fight?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
It was like sad. He gets like hit with an uppercut and like cuts him open real bad. And he's just like sitting there on all fours, like
yes.
kind of like contemplating his life choices, man. It was a bummer. So
Yeah.
that's something. My wife, she's so funny. She's like, "You would never do that, would you?" I'm like, "No, I wouldn't. Don't worry."
No, you wouldn't catch me in there, mate. I tell you that.
No, no
It
way.
is like a sort of graveyard at the minute for like fighters to go to. You know, just to go there and die. But yeah. So getting back to that Fabia fellow, have you ever come across anyone like that in your career?
Not that bad. No. It's funny, I told the fans, I was like, if you guys got a gym you're looking at, message me, dude. I got some messages. It was fun. And like, to be fair, call it 200 gyms I checked out. 195 of them were legit. There were a couple though, and like I almost don't want to be mean, but they're like, hey, I found this gym, but I don't think it's legit. And I looked at it and I was like, hey man, like good eye. I don't think this place is legit. It's a big red flag when they do belt tests, like belt tests they charge for. And when there's not one martial art listed, like if they can't list the martial art they're teaching, that's usually a bad sign. And
Yeah.
dude, it was funny. There were a handful that I was like, go find a jujitsu gym. Like, don't waste your time with this one. But it was actually kind of funny seeing what's out there. But like, if anything, it was nice because I saw a lot of very legitimate gyms. Like there were some small town jujitsu gyms where like the instructors weren't like world beaters by any means, but like they knew their stuff. They were like legit black belts. They had done some competitions and seemed fine. So man, I'm trying to think of like fake coaches in the
Well,
not really.
you actually rang these places up and that then and like visited them and that, yeah, like when these.
So no, I mostly like a lot of them were like in different cities naturally. Like there was
Oh,
almost nobody out of Houston. And like anyone in Houston, I was like very happy to like point in the right direction. I got a couple guys out of San Antonio. And like I know my guys have fought guys out of San Antonio. I'm like, hey, the guys we fought, their gyms are as legit as they get. But no, nothing too crazy. I would just check them. I would go to like my iPhone maps and type in the gym or the city and just kind of scroll through some spots and be like, hey, this place looks good. Like this guy's a legit black belt. And I almost always recommend out jujitsu gyms unless somebody was like looking for striking. Jujitsu gyms are usually the way to go. Like good legit jujitsu gyms are pretty hard to
yeah.
fake these days.
It sounds like a good little business venture, to be fair. You might get
You
some
know
of
what?
that.
It was interesting. I have no problem helping out. Like thankfully, like business is booming at my gym right now. Like I don't need to go making money off of giving good martial arts recommendations. Plus, like so many young teens and young adults hit me up. They're like, hey, like I was hesitant on starting to train, but they're like, after watching your interview, I decided to just commit to it. And like every time I got one of those messages, I would show my wife, and you can tell she was like bored with it. But like that, it just changed my life so much. Like committing to training, and if I could help somebody else get their foot in the door, I was so happy and willing to do it. And that seemed to be the case for a lot of the guys, which is cool. So I was happy to help.
That's the beauty of martial arts, man. It's always bringing people together.
Yeah, yeah.
So getting back to you, mate, you've been fighting in the UFC for a little while now. I think just over 5 years, is it?
Yeah.
How do you feel your career in the UFC has gone so far, and what have you learned on this journey?
Man, it's it's gone longer than I didn't I say this and I don't want people to think I'm like self-deprecating by any means, but like I just had no expectations ever. And it's because I love training so much, and naturally was like pretty good at having the right mindset for competition. And I just like didn't really expect I'd make it to the UFC. Like I didn't think I couldn't make it. I just never knew I would. I get the UFC and I talk to my coach, and like my striking coach, Matt Wald, he and I have been together forever, been training since we were teenagers together. I'm 30, he's like 28. And like every time I sign a new contract, we like laugh about it because it's like, dude, it's just crazy making it so far. I'm on contract number 4 with another fight. I'll have signed on to contract number 5, which is like damn near guaranteed. It's just cool, man. It's just interesting to see how far I've made it. I got 8 wins and 4 losses, which is great. Most guys don't make it past their first contract. And it just motivates and encourages me to do better and stay in the mix. Thankfully, I did find a very high-level coach and high-level gym in Fortis. And I got such a good thing going. And like I'm 30 years old, so I feel better physically now than ever. And I've learning from mistakes, I learned like what techniques to really hone in on and what styles and techniques to kind of leave by the wayside. And I just feel like I'm like not doing less, but I'm focusing on less, and it's adding for more success, which is cool. I say less is more all the time in high level martial arts, and I do believe that's the case.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do you take that same sort of stance on like sparring then? Like, are you kind of down the Max Holloway thing of, just trying to cut down and even zero sparring, or?
Yeah, I do quite a bit of sparring, but never any really hard sparring. And I very much so prioritize good defense and not getting hit in the head. And so, I work daily and it's never super hard. And I leave most sparring sessions without getting hit once, like without getting hit flush one time. And no, it's safe. But yeah, I was always smart about that. Like I never sit there and spar hard, like not too hard at least. And if I do spar hard, I am like very defensive minded. So it's not bad. I've never ever once been concussed training. I've been rocked once in training in 15 years, and it wasn't even from a punch; it was from a throw. It was actually by Daniel Pineda. He's in the UFC as well. And we were sparring. And I shot a body lock on him, and he hit double overhooks and like hiked me up, and he hit me with a haragoshi, which is like it's a big judo throw where like you throw your leg over both legs. It translates haragoshi to a hip sweep, and he threw me really hard, and like I couldn't really break fall. And I think I had headgear. I forget. But he landed on me, my head hit the ground. And as soon as I landed, I was like, wait, get off me. I need a second because it definitely like dazed me. And I took the rest of the day off from training. But it wasn't a concussion or anything. But that's like the worst I've ever experienced, which is kind of nice. There have been some times where Jeff Neal could have TKO'd me, but didn't, thankfully, because he's a nice training partner. But other than that, I've had a very, very safe road. And I continue to make sure that happens. And if it ever strays away from that, I would probably stop fighting, which is not the case. So I'm thankful for that.
Living the dream, man.
That's right.
So how do you see your route to the top of the division playing out then? Is there anyone in particular like you feel you need to fight next, or are you just happy to fight whoever they give you?
So for the record, I'm happy to fight whoever they give. Fighting the vets is cool. Like I think a match against Carlos Condit would be cool. I know Matt Brown and Diego Lima are matched up. I would have loved to fight either of those guys. For whatever reason, though, I have a feeling they're going to match me up against Randy Brown, which I'm 100% down for. I've pretty much watched every one of those fights as I had a hunch we'd fight anyway. But like all the other matchups, like I know Nico Price got matched up with that Michel Pierre guy. And then I know just like a lot of the good guys around my ranking are matched up already, with the exception of Randy Brown. So I don't know why. And I never ever get too dead set on any one opponent. There have been times where I'm like, I'm sure they're going to match me up with this guy. And then I get the matchup and it's someone totally opposite. So I'm just like, I'm ready to fight. Like I can make weight in a week if I had to. I'm in good shape. I would love a full fight camp, but if not, I don't care. So I'm really just waiting. I'm waiting on the good word.
That's the way, man. That's the best attitude. So you mentioned like Condit and that there. Is that is fighting the vets just like because they're the sort of people you watch when you were coming through, like yourself?
Yeah, they got a lot of name value to them. It would be a fun challenge as a martial artist. And I want to do it while it's possible. I know these guys aren't going to be in the UFC forever. And sorry about that. I know the guys aren't going to be there forever. So it's just nice to fight them while I can. And that's more the main mindset behind it.
Yeah, so it's more just for your own personal journey and just the experience of fighting guys like that.
Right, like especially when I fought Pettis, it was kind of secret, but I had a game plan to out wrestle him, which made sense. Like training in it was great, it made sense. But when it came time to doing it, I didn't, and I got caught in between doing what I should have done, which was the game plan, and doing what I wanted to do, which was kickbox. And then after being in there with him, I feel like I could have and should have tried to outstrike him. And I know that now. So it was a good lesson to learn, but it was an expensive mistake to make too. So like it's cool, like fighting Pettis, like thinking I could stand there and strike with him was good. Outstriking Cerrone was cool. Like there's no secret. I've had the same answer for every game plan forever. That's to try to knock the guys out on the feet, try to stand with them and bang it out. So people know what I'm coming at them with. I'm a second-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu too. So if they want to grapple, by all means, take a shot. But I mean, I think people know what they get when they fight me.
Definitely good stuff, man. So here's one for you then. What about if old Khamzat Chimaev came back? Would you fight him? Because I know a lot of people would say no to that fight. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, whether he's retired or whatnot, but is that a fight you'd take?
Man, for where I'm at, absolutely. I got all the everything to win, and like other than like losing a fight, very little to lose. And just because he's got so much hype behind him, I'm not too sure if he's going to be fighting at 85 or welterweight. But I mean, yeah, that's a very high profile fight. That's definitely like co-main or main material. And like where I'm at in my career, I'm down to take the high risk, high reward fights. I mean, every fight's going to be high risk, high reward. So I mean, yeah, that'd be a tough fight, I know, but that'd be a cool fight too. Plus, he's only what, like 8-0?
Yeah, something like that.
Not that many fights. Like I guarantee you, it's not going to be so easy. I was really looking forward to his fight against Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is no slouch. He's got great wrestling. He's pretty long. He's got really good striking. But yeah, there's no telling who they're going to match him up. I think he's going to fight Neil Magny, and I actually think that's a good fight because Neil's a bit of a grinder. He finds ways to win his fights. Every time I think Neil Magny's going to lose a fight handily, he finds a way to win it. So props to that man. I thought my boy Jeff was going to blaze through him and around, and that was not the case. I mean, Neil's he's a crafty kind of survivor.
He's a wily old vet, yeah.
I think that'd be a good test for both of them.
Yeah, I love Neil Magny. He's a top bloke, man. So, well, whoever you're matched up with next, I'm sure it's going to be a great fight. So, other than that, what are your goals for the rest of 2021?
My boy Ricky Tercios was on the Ultimate Fighter show. You know, we gotta wait and watch to see if he's able to win his fights. But making it to the finale or not, I'm sure he'll be fighting on the finale card. And it's just to cement my best friend and teammate for the last since almost 15 years as a rostered UFC fighter. So like that's a goal for me as a coach and fighter myself, and then to just fight at least one more time. Like I think I can get 2 more fights this year, but at least one more fight, get a win, get a bonus, make some money, and continue to ride this UFC money train until the wheels fall off.
Another bonus, yeah, because you got a bonus in your last fight, didn't you? Performance of the night bonus.
Yeah, it was cool. I told my wife too. I was like, hey, if I get a bonus, I'll buy you a Corvette. And hoping I'd get the bonus, not really put myself in the butt, but I got the bonus. So we already put a deposit down, and it's nice.
She's not going to let you forget that one, mate. Definitely.
No, I would never. She also works so hard. Like it was funny. My first coach when I was an amateur, at the end of his fight camps, the tension, the whatever would get to he and his wife, and they would argue. My wife is so cool. She like leaves me alone, and she cooks and does everything, and she like runs the business side of the gym always. I have nothing but amazing things to say about her. I love her dearly. I was very happy to, and like myself, I get a trophy. I get a badass trophy for beating one of the baddest fighters in the world. So that Corvette's more than just a gift for my wife. It's a trophy for myself as well. I don't know if you've seen the new Corvettes, the C8 models. They look like Ferraris, man. They look like Lamborghinis. They're awesome. They're a very different look than the average Corvette. And like I'm from the U.S. and Chevy's a big American brand, and the Corvette's kind of been like their nicest car. And the new ones look really, really nice, and they're not that expensive for like a fancy looking supercar. They're not that pricey, so it's kind of a win-win. You'll
be in the good books for a while then, man, with that.
Of course.
That's always good, mate. Yeah. So, well, I think that just about wraps us up. Good luck with the tough thing. That must be so good, man, going on a journey like that with one of your best friends. That must be like.
I can't wait to watch him on TV. I've never known anyone to be on a reality TV show. I've watched pretty much every season of The Ultimate Fighter. It's just crazy. My boy Ricky, he's got such good energy. Like I know he's going to be a spotlight in the show, personality-wise, and like he fights with fury and all of his heart. I know his fights are going to be bomb too. So I just hope to see his hand raised when he fights, and I can't wait.
So are we going to see you popping up on there at any point, like a little interview or something?
I don't know. So yeah, like when he filmed all this stuff at home before he left, I mean, we spent a lot of time in the gym. But I'll tell you, like when I fought Cowboy, I actually got to see him. I did not. The first question I asked when I got to Vegas was like, "Hey, can I see the Ultimate Fighter cast?" And they were like, "No way." They are isolated. But I got to see him after I fought, and I didn't get to really talk to him. But like the cameras were on us. I really hope they put that in the show. I don't know if they will. I really don't
So
know.
they actually are all locked away somewhere then, like out of the, you can't even, they're unreachable, like.
I mean, yeah, that's how it goes. But I mean, so yeah, but I did get to run into Volkanovski, and I did run into my boy. And they didn't tell me not to say anything. So, but I'm going to be vague all the same. I don't want to jeopardize anything. I'll do nothing to risk my boy's opportunity. But like I did run into him, and they did film us together for a very brief moment. I would like to see that on the show, as the odds of us seeing each other were astronomically low. Like the chance of that all happening was zero. It was cool. It was it's a memory I'll never ever forget. And like just seeing my boy as I was walking into the octagon just gave me a wealth of energy. He even got to talk to Cowboy before he knew I was matched up with him, and he overheard Cowboy saying he got matched up with me, and like I just can't imagine what he was thinking.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Well, thank you so much for your time, Alex, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for having me.
You have a good rest of the day, man. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And I've been the MMA Pocket, and this is Guts and Glory MMA. Thank you again, Alex. Goodbye, my man.
Later.